Hello class! Today we are going to be talking about Egypt vocabulary in the early to old kingdom. The first word we are going to be talking about today is hieroglyphic. A hieroglyphic is a picture that represents an object, syllable, or a word. As you can see in these pictures, the characters that were used as the ancient Egyptian writing system, these are written in rows or columns and read from left to right or right to left, which is a little different than how we read. To understand which direction to begin from, you will look to see which direction the animals are facing. A synonym for this word, which is the same, is symbols, and an antonym is inactivity. We can relate this word to our other terms we're going to learn today because hieroglyphics were said to have been created by the god Thoth and called them words of the gods. The next word we're going to be talking about today is agriculture. Agriculture is growing plants and raising livestock. As we can see in these pictures, the agricultural began around 13,150 BCE, which is a long time ago. During this time, the Pharaoh made those in the town work the fields. The fields were plowed using oxen, meat that didn't last long, and there wasn't a way for them to store extra meat, so many of the people ate wheat, chickpeas, lentils, lettuce, corn, and more. A synonym for this word is farming, which we have probably heard of today. An antonym is industry, which would be like a factory. A way that this word connects with our other terms is Pharaoh, that we're going to talk about later, because the Pharaoh had lower class people farm the land. The next word we're going to talk about is Pharaoh. A Pharaoh is a ruler of the Egyptian kingdom. As you can see in these pictures, the Pharaoh was the king and is seen as the god of the earth. The term Pharaoh didn't come about until the New Kingdom era. Before this, leaders were known as kings. The word Pharaoh also means great house. The Pharaoh's role as a leader was to participate in religious ceremonies and maintain religious harmony. So a synonym for this word would be king, and an antonym would be a slave. The Pharaoh was also mummified, and we're going to talk about that word a little bit later. So our next word is amulet. An amulet is an object on a ring that is known to give protection to the owner. As we can see in the image, many ancient Egyptians wore amulets as a symbol or for the protection they were known to offer the owner. Amulets were also used in the mummification process to protect the body. The jewelry was known to offer protection to keep the owners out of trouble. A synonym for this would be an idol, and an antonym would be a curse. Some amulets contain hieroglyphics, which we've learned about earlier, which include animals or symbols. Our last word that we are learning today is mummification, which we heard earlier when we talked about our Pharaoh. This is a process used to maintain a body after the individual dies. It includes drying and wrapping the body tightly to preserve it. As we can see in this image, a person that went through the mummification process. There are 7 steps to mummify a body. The first is announcing the death of the person. The second is embalming the body, which is cleaning. In the next, the brain and the organs are removed. The body was then covered in salt to remove any water, and this lasted for 40 days. Then the body was wrapped tightly as prayers and charms were placed around the body for protection. So a synonym for this word would be condition, because they were trying to preserve the body and keep it in a good condition. And an antonym would be danger, because mummification was a symbol of good hope. Amulets that we talked about earlier were also wrapped around the mummy for protection. So now, as we're going to use our vocabulary words and make a graphic organizer. So together, we are going to fill one out. We're going to use the word hieroglyphic. So we need to put in the definition, characteristics, the synonym and antonym, and then we'll also need to connect this word to other terms or civilizations. So for hieroglyphic, the definition is a picture that represents an object, syllable, or words. The characteristics of a hieroglyphic are pictures or drawings. A synonym is symbols. So I would like you to distinguish which one is a synonym by titling it synonym. And then a synonym is symbols. And an antonym, which remember that means opposite. An antonym would be inactivity. And then to connect this word to other terms, we are going to connect it to a pharaoh. So hieroglyphics were said to be created by the god Thoth and called them words of the gods. So we'll type that out. Hieroglyphics were said to have been created by the god Thoth and called them words of the gods. All right, thank you, class. If you have any questions, let me know.